We're called the Corrs. We're a family. We come from a place called Dundalk, which is in between Dublin and Belfast on the east coast of Ireland. And we formed about, I suppose, 5 years ago. I was just at the audition for the Commitments. We auditioned for the Commitments. That's also where we met John Hughes, our manager.
We've been influenced by such a variety, a vast range of different music. I mean, we love classical. We were taught classical piano by our father from an early age, and we also love traditional music, which is an integral part of our music. And then there's the obvious, the pop and rock like Sting and Genesis, and we love all that kind of stuff. By living in Ireland, we're surrounded by our own traditional Irish music, which is an inherent part of our culture. Also, the pop and rock was coming from England and from America all the time. So this is what we were surrounded by. So it was very natural for us when we would make up something, when we would write something, that it would have a little bit of everything in it.
We had been doing a lot of gigs in Dublin. A friend of ours, Bill Whelan, who wrote Riverdance, came to the gig one night and invited Jean Kennedy Smith, the American ambassador to Ireland, over. She loved the music. She invited us over to the JFK Library to perform in front of the Taoiseach and herself, and Ted Kennedy was there as well. After that, we decided we would go over to Los Angeles and New York and visit record companies and try and get some sort of a deal. A few were interested, but not really very, very interested. When we got to New York, on our last day in New York in Atlantic Records, we met Jason Flom, who really loved the music.
We'd had the meeting with Jason Flom, and that went very, very well, and he wanted to try and get us to meet with David Foster, who was a name that we were, at the time, we weren't really that familiar with. But we were told that he was working with Michael Jackson in the Hit Factory, and that it was very, very difficult to get in to see him because of the obvious security. And so Jason tried to set up the meeting and wasn't able to do it. So we actually, with our manager, John, we took the decision to actually arrive and crash in on the session at the Hit Factory. And we used our Irish charm, and we got in the doors of the Hit Factory. I mean, we dressed up obviously very, very well to try and make an impression, and we got in, and we sat in the lobby waiting for David, and sure enough, he came out.
So I just happened to be walking out in the lobby. Just by chance, the group had taken it upon themselves to come to the Hit Factory and wait, and wait, and wait, on the hopes that I would come out. And I did, and I took a look at them, and of course, here's these three beautiful sisters and their handsome brother, and they all had their instruments with them, and they said, "Hi, we're here." I went, "Oh, right, the Corrs, yeah, I remember getting the phone call." I was so spellbound by their looks, I said, "Let's go upstairs and play for me." And they played for me. They did some acoustic music. They played a tape first. That sounded incredible. They said, "Can we take you to the piano? We want to play you some music." They brought out the violin, Sharon on the violin, Andre on the tin whistle, Caroline on the baron drum, which I didn't even know what a baron drum was at that time, and Jim on piano and guitar. And they just blew me away.
2 days before we finished the album, we said, well, let's go down and see if we can come up with something. And to be honest, I mean, it was quite a fearful time, because here we were writing with one of the most prolific writers in the world, and you had to come up with the goods, and it was quite daunting, but it worked out great, and it's actually one of our favourite tracks now in the album, because it's very rocky, it's lovely, and there's even a bluesy edge to the vocals and stuff like that. And it was lovely to write with somebody else, because they've got such a fresh perspective and such different ideas.
It was basically the five of us in a room, and we created the song very fast, as most good things happen, very fast. And it was just great to write with all four of them. And I got a little insight as to how their material must have come about, because they really do work well together. And I think it's a great testament to their character that they allowed me in on that process. And the result was Someday, which is a pretty cool tune.
There's the obvious reasons. You're not alone. You know, when we go away and visit places, we see them with the enthusiasm that you get from each and every one of your family. We get on unbelievably well.
1, 2, 3.
You're forgiven, not forgotten. You're forgiven.
Nice, voila.
Turn myself off now.
But the setup as such is Caroline on drums, Sharon on the fiddle, Angie on the lead vocal, and tin whistle, and myself on guitar. And we've taken on 2 additional musicians. Very, very good guitarist called Anto Drennan, and a very, very good bass player from called Keith Duffy. Both guys are from Dublin.
You get a really great buzz from, you know, an electric set. It's really, really good. And but sometimes it's lovely to do acoustic because it's so natural, you know, and it all comes from yourself. Whatever. It's nice to be unplugged too.
Unplugged, there's much more freedom. You can just sit there and you know, you can just jam together. There's much more freedom than electric, I think.